Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jam Vishnu Pad Padamamsa Parvaja Gacharya Astotar Satasishimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jam Vishnu Pad Padamamsa Parvaja Gacharya Astotar Satasishimad, Sringa Guru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Premsiko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Marpur Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. New Dwarka Dham Ki Jai. Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai. Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Srimati Subhadra Ki Jai. Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai. Radhastami Ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Jaga Ki Jai. Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Gaur Pramananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to all the sum of devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to all the sum of devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to all the sum of devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Gaur Srila Prabhupada. Jai Namaskar. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om. I know. Jeez. Was that 3? 2? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Sham. Hare Krishna. So today is Radhastami, the most auspicious day. Thank you for the opportunity to speak something about her. We're going to talk about some of her qualities and who she is and her pastimes, and then some prayers we'll offer to her. And then also we're going to show some visuals to kind of, just get some idea of what she looks like. And how we serve her in the material world. And nice artist renditions of what we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam and different Vedic literatures. They're going to explain that. So that's why it's so nice. These visuals, Srila Prabhupada said, these paintings are like windows into the spiritual world. So it gives us an idea of what it's like and how we could relate. So we're so fortunate to be in the human form to be able to understand this. So, since he's getting that ready, what I'm going to do is, let's see here. There's a nice prayers I like to chant, and we could chant them together. And instead of the verse, we're going to do these prayers here, and everybody I think knows them. So I'll just start, and we could chant together. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. I like to say the English now, since we don't say the English so much, and it kind of helps us really understand what we're saying. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? I guess do you have it set up? Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so let's continue. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapara Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sargajatam Sahagana Raghunath Tan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvetam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Shah. So this one is a very nice one. We're offering our obeisances in this prayer to Srimati Radharani also. So I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatana Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Nityananda, or Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates, Sri Lalita and Vishaka. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandho Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Nomostute. Oh my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gaudangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavan. You are the daughter of the king Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tubhyascha kripasindhu bevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. I offer my obeisances to Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vas and all others in the line of devotion. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Prasadena Tarupasha Vinirnanayam Balopi Kurute Shastram Dristva Braja Vilasina. By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even a foolish child can fully describe the real nature of Lord Krishna, the enjoyer of the pastimes of Vraja, according to the vision of the revealed scriptures. So today on this Radhastami, I'd like to offer this class presentation to my Guru Maharaj, Srila Jai Pataka Maharaj. And he actually took sannyas on this day 53 years ago. And it was his prayer and many prayers of all the devotees around the world that he wanted, one of his desires was to be present at the opening of the TOVP building in Sri Mayapur. So they're supposed to open it next year. So we'll see. So on this auspicious day, September 22nd, 2023. So this is a little close-up there of showing Radha and Krishna. It's pastime, very beautifully described by, this is a painting done by Shamarani. So here, we start off here. Here's a successful person. but he doesn't look very happy. And Giriraj Swami, he was remembering how there was a topic of how to be successful that was brought up at the Birlas of Bombay. They asked Srila Prabhupada to speak, and this was the topic. So many people believe that they're already successful, or maybe they want to be more successful, but we see they're not satisfied. And even we see the most richest person in the 60s was John Paul Getty. He was supposedly the richest man in the world. And they asked what his philosophy of life was, and he said, more. So, but does more actually make you happy? But actually, Prabhupada said in that lecture that success means we transfer ourselves from the material energy, Durga, to the control of the spiritual energy, Srimati Radharani. So this is what our purpose is, to do that, to engage in Krishna service. So this is the verse. Daiviyesha gunamayi mamamaya durataya mameva ye prapajante mayametam taranti te. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So this is our process, is to engage fully in the service of Krishna and don't divert our attention to anything else. So this is why we have classes and we discuss the pastimes of Krishna and Radha and all different devotees. So the bewildered, they take shelter of the material nature, Durga, which is the fortress in the spirit, in the material world. She's like the warden, and she has her trident where she pierces the demons by the threefold miseries. And then Kali is an expansion of actually Durga, where she kills the demons. And so the Mahatma, he takes shelter of the divine nature, Srimati Radharani, and that's the success in life. So the Lord desired to appear was born for two reasons. He wanted to taste the sweet essence of the mallows of love of God, and he wanted to propagate devotional service in the world on the platform of spontaneous attraction. So this is what he thought. All the universes filled with the conception of my majesty, but love weakened by that sense of majesty does not satisfy me. So foolish people, they can't actually conceive of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As described in the Bhagavad Gita, Avajananti mam mudha, they're mudhas, they're fools. And when he descends in a human form, they don't know his transcendental nature as a Supreme Lord. So there's so much controversy and misunderstanding of Krishna, and then they criticize him by superimposing all their morality on him. But they don't understand the gopis. So in a lecture, Srila Prabhupada explained that the Radha Krishna Leela can be presented even to the general public. But he said, introduce these Krishna pastimes all over the world so that they, people in general, may take lessons that the happiness they are seeking is with Krishna. So we can't misunderstand Krishna as an ordinary person, how he deals with his devotees and things like this. So, yeah. So, Prabhupada also mentioned that through devotional service and the influence of Yoga Maya, we can appreciate the deep spiritual love shared between Krishna and the gopis, which transcends all mundane morality. So Radha Krishna, he says, should be shared with the world, but there should be a proper understanding of this. So just to give you an idea of the potency of Radha Krishna, and Radha specifically today, we see this nice graphic. It's like a blueprint of the spiritual and material creation. So it's very nice here. So here we see there's three potencies, Sa, Chit, Ananda. These are the potencies of the Lord. So we have the Sandini potency, which is the potency which maintains the existence of the Lord. And then we have Sambit. This potency helps the Lord know himself and makes him known to others. And then there's a Hladini potency. And this potency provides the Lord and his devotees with transcendental bliss. So these are all the different Shaktis described here. So I just wanted to point out these three main topics that are described here. So then we'll go on to show here how just as Krishna is the fountainhead of so many incarnations, so Radha is also a cause of all different consorts. So Shri Radha is the Hladini, the Nanda Shakti, and then the Kayana Vyuha Rupa, Shri Radha's bodily expansions, and then Premananda, pure love of Krishna. This all comes from Shri Radha. And then in the transcendental realm, enjoyment is actually fully relished in variety. So we see here the different, if we bring these out on the right, it's kind of hard to see. So Mahalakshmi Devi and billions of other Lakshmis, Parvati, Brahmananda, all the all-pervading impersonal bliss, all this comes from Radharani. And even here, Durga Devi, she's a shadow of the Hladini Shakti, and even Jadanananda, material pleasure. All expansions. You know, this, even the material pleasure is a reflection of Radharani. So here are, even Bhumi, Mother Earth, is her expansion. So we can't imagine. So Krishna wanted to descend to the material world, and he asked Srimati Radharani, would you please come with me? She says, yes, of course, but I have my conditions. And he said, okay, what are those conditions? And she said, Yamuna, Govardhan must be there with us. And he said, oh, they're already there waiting for us to facilitate our pastimes. So then she said, yes, I will go. So Krishna was a year old when Radha appeared, and the manner of her appearance was very wonderful. Nanda Maharaj, the Lord of Gokul, he was a close friend of Vrishabhanu Maharaj. He was the Lord of Raval. He was close by. So when Radha was born, so this is what happens. He went to the Jamuna and saw a large, extraordinary golden, it was a 1,000-leafed lotus flower. And on its whorl was an exceptionally beautiful baby girl. So we can't describe her, we can't practically describe her. So you could imagine in this 1,000-leaf lotus, a beautiful baby girl with golden complexion. And so he was struck with wonder, and he waded up to the lotus, and then he lifted the baby in his arms. And then, at that time, Lord Brahma appeared to him and said, telling him how both you and your wife, Kirtida Devi, in your previous birth, you performed many austerities to get the consort of the Supreme Lord as your daughter. So now, to bless you, the whole world, and the whole world, she's now appeared before you. So take her, and take care of her very carefully. So then Vrishabhanu Maharaj took the baby to his wife and explained the situation. So Kirti Devi was very happy when they brought the baby. So the baby, it seemed a little strange though, the baby wasn't opening her eyes. And they thought, oh, she's blind. And then the baby was not speaking, so they thought, oh, she might be dumb also. But she's so extremely beautiful. But it appears she can't see, she can't speak, she can't hear. So they had mixed feelings about her. So they said, maybe we shouldn't spread the word that, we'll keep it a secret. So actually Sridham was their son. So then Narada had to enter the picture, and he knew that Krishna appeared. So then he thought, well, if Krishna appeared, then I'm sure Radharani is going to appear somewhere. So he was going around to all the different householders and asking, did you have any newborn babies recently? And so everybody was saying, no, we had a boy. And so he kept looking. And then finally he came to the house there, and they said, oh yeah, we have a daughter, but we're sad because she doesn't speak, she doesn't hear, she doesn't see. And he said, never mind, just show me the girl. So when the Narada Muni went in front of her, he was stunned in ecstasy. And he could understand this is Radharani. And he told Vrishabhanu Maharaj, you can please leave the room and leave me alone with her. So he went out of the room, and then Narada, to confirm, he started offering prayers to Radharani. And she started to manifest her Nitya Kishore form, which was 13.5 years old. It was an unimaginable, beautiful form. Then Narada, he couldn't bear it, so he fainted. He has never before seen such beauty. And then, but it was even more beautiful when and you know, she was so beautiful that he fainted. And then so Radha brought him to his external consciousness and said, "So Narada, don't you have anything to say?" And then Narada said, "No, I can't say anything." So he didn't have a word to say. So he left, and then he didn't even talk to anybody on the way out. He just left. And then he went to the Narada Kund, and he just sat there and meditated on the form of Narada, the form of Radharani. And that's where he wrote the Narada Bhakti Sutra, in that place. So then Narada eventually told Vrishabhanu, "Don't be sad, you should celebrate her birthday in a very grand way." So then they actually publicized it, and they invited so many people to come and see. So it's during that time when they were celebrating, when Krishna crawled around into Radharani's room, and he saw her in the cradle. And Krishna pulled himself up to it, and he was on his feet, and he peered into the cradle of this baby form. And then that's what Radharani was waiting for. She wanted Krishna to be the first person she sees. So she opened her eyes, and Krishna spoke something to her in his broken language. And then she started crying, and then they all rushed, and they saw them together, and they were just overjoyed and celebrated in full earnest and chanting the glories of Radha and Krishna. So that's the story there. So these points, they capture the key aspects of Radharani's birth and her early life in the context of her relationship with Krishna. So eventually, Vrishabhanu moved to Varshana. It's close to Nandagram, where Krishna grew up, and that's where Radha grew up. And then Radha was married off in a place called Yavat. So it's showing her beautiful form there. So it's described that Krishna can do anything, right? He can whistle, he can play any kind of musical instrument, but he likes to play the flute. Why? Because it's more pleasing sound, and he could expand him, so many different notes and beautiful sounds. So in the same way, Krishna expands himself into so many wonderful living entities, and Srimati Radharani puts that Sat Chidananda drop into our hearts that bring out our unique love for Krishna. So Srimati Radharani one time was having a conversation, and she was continuing to talk, and she said, the common conception is that I'm always in the heart of Krishna and is always in my heart, and that we have a complete meeting of minds, that we completely understand each other. And she said, "Don't believe this. This is not true. This is a mistake. Here's the actual fact. In a lake, there is a lotus plant, and from the root of that plant, 2 flowers are growing, one blue and one yellow. These 2 flowers are not different from each other because they have one root. In the same way, my blue cloth signifies the color of Krishna's body, and his yellow cloth signifies the color of my body. So there's no difference between us at all. We are one soul, and for the sake of tasting our astonishing pastimes, we take 2 forms." So this is revealing the truth about who Radha and Krishna are. So these pastimes, we're going to hear, they purify us. And when Krishna appears, there's a verse in the 10th canto, Anugraha Bhaktanam. It says that when the Lord assumes a human-like body, it's just to show mercy to his devotees. And he engages in such pastimes to attract those who hear about him, and they dedicate their lives to him. So this is very nicely described in different, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's described there in one of the purports. It says, "One who has not been attracted by the transcendental beauty of rasa will certainly be dragged down to material attraction, thus to act in material contamination and progress to the darkest region of hellish life. But by understanding the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, one is freed from the grip of attraction to material so-called love between man and woman." So Srila Prabhupada concluded there that if we're fortunate enough to be attracted to Krishna's pastimes, and if we constantly think of them, then our life will be perfect. That's the aim and the purpose of Krishna consciousness movement. And in the purport to a song it's called Nityananda Nishta, Srila Prabhupada says, the aim of this Krishna consciousness movement is to engage us to approach Radha Krishna and associate with the Supreme Lord in a sublime pleasure dance. Narottam Das Thakur advises that if one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha and Krishna, he must accept the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So, Srila Prabhupada, he says that any devotee serious about progressive advancement in Krishna consciousness, firmly fixed in understanding Krishna Tattva, and feeling no sexual agitation upon reading this book, is qualified to do so. Others should wait for a suitable time and continue practicing the appropriate limbs of devotional service. So these transcendental affairs only can be understood on two platforms. One is called elevated and the other is called super elevated. The loving affairs exhibited in Dwarka are the elevated form. The super elevated position is reached in the manifestation of the pastimes of Vrindavan. The attitude of Lord Chaitanya is certainly super elevated. So just to show that how from this lower stages of our sinful activities we have to elevate ourselves. So we have to become qualified. We have to become dhira. And that way, even though we possess this kama, which is a conditioned soul's quality, so we have to actually become purified so we can understand these pastimes and become purified and relieved from this material contamination. So we see Krishna in his different pastimes. We know that small children and boys and girls, they all play together because they're very innocent. So Krishna was only 8 years old at the time of the Rasa Lila. Krishna is considered to be Bhokta, the enjoyer, and we are Bhaja, the enjoyed. So Purusha, enjoyer, and Prakriti, enjoyed. So this is what we are. So we're meant for his enjoyment. So what is the question of immorality with Krishna? He is actually the husband of everyone, his jiva pati. You know, not just gopi pati. He's the husband of everybody. So the problem is that the jiva is trying to enjoy another jiva. So there is no other for Krishna. Nothing outside of Krishna. So the gopis pray to Katyayani to have Krishna as their husband. So this, you see the little deity there, so they were praying. So Krishna appeared there. And he acted as her husband by taking away their clothes. Because only the husband can see his wife without clothes. So in this way he became their husband. Beautiful pastime. So who are these gopis? They're actually all liberated souls. They have spiritual bodies. They're the internal potency manifestation of the internal energy, Yogamaya. And it's described to be like enjoying a reflection in the mirror. So the perverted reflection of the spiritual sky is what is in the material world. That's the spiritual reality. It's the original. So the pastimes with the gopis are the highest there is. It's a pinnacle of spiritual bliss. But here it's the lowest. So it's actually Krishna's reflection. He's enjoying practically himself in this way, with his different energies. So it's just, you know, all throughout the time in the Vedic literatures, great personalities worship the gopis. Madhavacharya, Ramanujacharya, Nibarkacharya, hundreds and thousands of great exalted personalities also see as very pure and spiritual. So great authorities, even the 6 Goswamis, they have there's a beautiful prayer, the Nana Shastra, that we offer our obeisances to them because they're honored over all the 3 worlds and they're worth taking shelter of because they're absorbed. Why? In the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. So we offer our respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis. They shout, Queen of Vrindavan, Radharani, O Lalita, O son of Nanda Maharaj, where are you now? Are you just on the hill of Govardhan? Are you under the trees on the bank of the Jamuna? Where are you? These are their moods in executing Krishna consciousness. So this is how the highest form is, that we have to be eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis. Then we could be able to understand the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. So in other words, unless we're trained under the disciplic succession of the Goswamis, we can't understand Radha and Krishna. So this is what we want to do. So even Lord Brahma, he prayed to become a blade of grass in Vrindavan. And even Narada Muni, he dipped in the Kushum Sarovya to become Naradiya Gopi. So just see. Even Lord Shiva, after dipping in the Jamuna, he changed his form so he can witness the rasa dance. He came as Gopeshwar, and he guarded as a servant of the rasa dance. So even the demigods, you can see in their airplanes in the background there, very little, on their swan airplanes, they're able to watch at a distance. So the reason why Krishna displays his Rasa Leela is essentially to induce all the fallen souls to give up their diseased morality and religiosity, and to attract them to the kingdom of God and enjoy reality. Another artist's rendition of the Rasa Leela. And even Uddhava, in the 11th canto, there's a nice, the Uddhava Gita, and Krishna first instructs him. He says, he made him aware of the gopis' position, so he sent him to Vrindavan to learn about the glorious position of the gopis and tell the devotees of Mathura and Dwarka, and also so that the whole world would know the glories of the gopis. So he was spellbound by them, especially Srimati Radharani. So he prayed to take birth in Vrindavan as a blade of grass. He felt that he wasn't qualified to ask Krishna to become a gopi. So he thought that would be impudent. So he said just the dust of the lotus feet of the gopis was enough for him. And this is Uddhava speaking. So just as Radhika went mad at the sight of Uddhava, so Lord Chaitanya was obsessed day and night with the madness of separation. So this is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the purport there, Srila Prabhupada says that those under the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can understand that his mode of worship of the Lord Krishna in separation is the real worship of the Lord. When the feelings of separation become very intense, one attains the stage of meeting Krishna. So this is the science. But so-called devotees like the Sahajas, they cheaply imagine that they're meeting with Krishna in Vrindavan. That thinking may be useful, but actually meeting Krishna is only possible through the attitude of separation. And that was taught by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he dreamed about the gopis, and he's a sannyasi. So this shows it is pure. He dreamed about the pastimes of him and Krishna, and all kinds of different pastimes he was seeing in his visions. So this is the path that we have to follow. So we have to be determined. So the joy of bhakti is experienced to the degree we are selfless in our efforts. And this Radharani is a source of spiritual inspiration. So we can see Lord Chaitanya was just wanting to taste that nectar. Here's another pastime, his viewing of Krishna with the gopis, splashing water, enjoying pastimes. So we talked about this philosophy. We have yoga and meditation books. This is a poster that the devotees use on Sankirtan to try to display these books. They're very important, these books. From these books, we have to actually understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So this is the essence, which why Srila Prabhupada wanted us to teach that Krishna's transcendental nature, understanding it is crucial, and it could only be achieved through hearing from realized souls and reading sacred texts. So if we surrender to Krishna, that will free us from our material entanglement and lead to a state of being a great soul. So this is that Krishna book describing the pastimes of Krishna, which we are filling the planet with this knowledge. Prabhupada says, you know, when someone sees the cover book like this one with Krishna, they say, who's Krishna? And who's that girl with Krishna? So she's not an ordinary woman like your mother, your sister, your wife. She's actually spiritual energy, Ananda, Haladini potency. So when the Supreme Personality wanted to enjoy, Krishna expands himself, as we mentioned how just by blowing the flute you can make different tunes. So Krishna expands himself into different avatars, Vishnus, you know, in the same way she expanded as Radha, and then Radha expands herself. And then Radha actually created on the earth planet Navadvipdham, which we'll talk about that later. So this is Krishna, Radha Krishna. And this is the whole purpose of our Krishna consciousness movement, is that we want to induce or introduce to people to help them satisfy their innate propensity to love, and to direct that towards Krishna. So all other methods like socialism, communism, altruism, they're all futile without understanding the art of loving Krishna. So this is what we want to understand through these texts, these divine pastimes. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually a Paramahamsa Samhita. And Srila Prabhupada explains that without pure love, without being liberated, we cannot understand Radha Krishna's pastimes. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's 5 chapters that describe this Rasa Lila. It's the summit of all Vedic literature. And in this literary form of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's actually Krishna. So it's the heart of Krishna, and Radha is actually there. So there's a nectar devotion. This is Rupa Goswami. He's taken out Srimati Radharani and presented it to us in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is the personification of Srimati Radharani. And that's where he extracted the Hladini potency, Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. So Bhakti is a domination of Radha, and she's living in everyone's heart. And so there's 6 qualities to Bhakti. And what does Bhakti do? It destroys all miseries. It bestows all auspiciousness. It makes liberation appear insignificant. It's extremely rare. And Krishna consciousness is most intense, condensed, transcendental bliss. So nothing except Bhakti can attract Krishna. That's our pure devotion. So basically, there's a profound concept of devotional service, you know, in the context of our Krishna consciousness movement. It emphasizes devotional service. When it's performed with love and directed towards Krishna, it has the power to even attract Krishna himself. So Srimati Radharani is the epitome of devotion and her unparalleled love for Krishna. It's shown in these books that are given. So they emphasize prema, or divine love, which is the indescribable emotion that can only be comprehended through realization and personal experience. So there's different books that are written about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, so that we can delve into this deep nectar. So Radharani is actually the personification of devotional service. And here's a nice painting. So it shows the significance of Radharani in the realm of devotional service and Krishna consciousness. And Radharani is the ultimate embodiment of pure love, the reservoir of love for Krishna. And devotees of Vrindavan, they take shelter of her lotus feet to progress in their spiritual journey. So many of these texts and books that we read, they just highlight Radharani's role as a mediator between the devotees and Krishna. And they emphasize the importance of her recommendation. And also we understand that this deeper meaning of the Hare Krishna mantra is where Hare represents Srimati Radharani, and how chanting it's a plea for her eternal shelter and service in her devotion to Krishna. There's different pastimes of Krishna. Krishna dressed as a gopi. So Sankirtan is actually Braja Prema, and it's only performed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So religious systems, they're actually meant to show the existence of God, who is then generally approached as the cosmic order supplier. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his transcendental mission is to distribute love of God to everyone. And anyone who accepts God as a supreme can take the process of chanting Hare Krishna and become a lover of God. So therefore Lord Chaitanya is most magnanimous. And this munificent broadcasting of devotional service is possible only for Krishna himself. So therefore Lord Chaitanya, he appeared. He is Krishna, he appeared. So there's that wonderful prayer, from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, how, may the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachidevi, be transcendentally situated in the innermost chambers of your heart, resplendent with radiance of molten gold. He has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant mallow of devotional service, the mallow of conjugal love. So this is, we're exploring more and more the divine relationship between Radha and Krishna. And it discusses how they're actually one, yet they're simultaneously different. So this is the mystery of transcendental nature of their love. So Radha and Krishna are one and the same, and yet they manifested two bodies to enjoy the mallows of love. So this is the significance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He represents the union of Radha and Krishna, and who appears to bestow the highest form of devotional service, this divine love to humanity. So this is the inconceivable ability of the divine relationship, and it shows us the need for this spiritual insight to understand it fully. So there's another quote from Radharani. She says, "My dear friends, just see how Krishna is enjoying," or the gopis, I think. No, this is Krishna's devotees. Shri Krishna is enjoying the season of spring, with the gopis embracing each of his limbs. He is like amorous love personified with his transcendental pastimes. He enlivens all the gopis and the entire creation with his soft bluish black arms and legs, which resemble blue lotus flowers. He has created a festival for Cupid. So we may think these are erotic, pastimes or, amorous love. So these are reflected in mixed material values and are perverted reflections in the material world, which are of the reality of the real spiritual world. But we can't understand this reality unless we're sufficiently educated from these books that Srila Prabhupada has given us, this spiritual science. And there's a text in Chaitanya Charitamrita. "One more qualified than me is impossible to find in the world, but in Radha alone I feel the presence of one who can give me pleasure." So there's so many nice quotes there. Krishna says, "Although the vibration of my transcendental flute attracts the three worlds, but my ears are enchanted by the sweet words of Srimati Radharani. Although my body lends fragrance to the entire creation, the scent of Radharani's limbs captivates my mind and heart. And although my touch is cooler than 10 million moons, I am refreshed by the touch of Srimati Radharani. Thus, although I am the source of happiness for the entire world, the beauty and attributes of Shri Radhika are my life and soul." This is so beautiful. So we see Radha Krishna in the spiritual world, and here he appears in the material world. So Lord Chaitanya, desiring to understand that glory of Radharani's love and the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love. So this Supreme Lord Hari, he richly endowed with her emotions, he appeared from the womb of Srimati Sachidevi as the moon appeared from the ocean. So anyone who's captured by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda in his heart will become blissful by hearing all these transcendental pastimes. So this is religion. It's meant to show the existence of God and how to approach Him, not as an order supplier, but to approach Him with love. So the countenance of Radharani, it's described that her eyes are enchanted by the beauty of Lord Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa. Her body thrills in pleasure at his touch. Her ears are always attracted to his sweet voice. Her nostrils are enchanted by his fragrance, and her tongue hankers for the nectar of his soft lips. She hangs down her lotus-like face, exercising self-control only by pretense, but she cannot help showing the external signs of her spontaneous love for Lord Krishna. That's beautiful. So Krishna said that, he says, if one regards me as a Supreme Lord and himself as subordinate, I do not become subservient to his love, nor can it control me. So this is where we know that Krishna loves, having his devotees more superior to him. Sometimes my mother binds me, she nourishes me, she protects me, she thinks I'm helpless. So Krishna enjoys this even more. Sometimes she chastises me. And even Krishna's friends, sometimes they climb on his shoulders in pure friendship, saying, "What kind of big man are you? You and I are equal." So taking these pure devotees with me, I shall descend and sport in various wonderful ways, unknown even in Vaikuntha. I shall broadcast such pastimes by which even I am amazed. And she says, if my beloved consort reproaches me in a sulky mood, that stills my mind from reverent hymns of the Vedas. It's a pastime where Krishna was teasing Rukmini. So the influence of Yogamaya will inspire the gopis with the sentiment that I am their paramour. The influence of Yogamaya will inspire the gopis with the sentiment, that he's. So Krishna manifests his eternal human-like form and performs pastimes to show his mercy to his devotees. So we get to see nice descriptions of these pastimes. So anybody will be able to understand these affairs only after being elevated by regulated devotional service under the expert guidance of a spiritual master. And they too will be competent to hear the love affairs of Radha and Krishna. So it's important for us to understand our spiritual identity as an eternal, servant of Krishna. And we have to understand this human form is meant for understanding these spiritual values and achieving happiness through spiritual activities, opposed from material activities, which is just happiness in vain. So we should highlight the importance of devotional service and realize our spiritual identity and our connection with Krishna, and not waste our time in material pleasures. So this is the ultimate goal of human life. So you can see anybody, no matter who they are, what their age is, what they look like, what their religion is, they can actually achieve the human goal of life by understanding who they are and their relationship with God. So one might think this may not fit here, but Prabhupada said one time, he says, the battle of Kurukshetra is easy by comparison. Only 18 days, the battle, it was finished. But the battle of the mind, it takes a lot longer. But it is possible. But there's no quick formula. So it's difficult to control the mind, but it is possible by a constant practice and detachment. So we can see so many people dying in the mature world as the sun rises and the sun sets. People die, but we can actually become immortal by actually hearing the words of Krishna. And this is how we can control the mind. So that's just a thing to show you there. So Prabhupada says you can only get something where it's available. So because the beauty of the deities, the wonderful devotees in the temple, it's easy to be absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. So Radha Krishna comes first before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So who is greater, Lord Krishna or Lord Chaitanya? So Radha, the devotee, is greater. So in the material world, the servant is always the servant. In the spiritual world, sometimes the servant is the greatest. So this is Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles handing flowers and then offering him back. And see, the devotees are very attracted to his love. And Krishna's trick is to attract us to him through his spiritual master. And because the devotees performing wonderful kirtan, playing different instruments in different festivals, we become attracted. And the beautiful devotees, the temples, the deities, it becomes easier to be absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. So just give you some, showing the devotional service of the devotees. This is where you can't have anything unless it's available. It's available now. Here, we can see. Different outfits of devotees. Tulsi Devi, a beautiful devotee of Krishna, appears. Different festivals. Some Janmashtami, some Radhastami. Here's Sri Radha. We can serve her. We can see her, offer prayers to her. This is Janmashtami this year. Radha Krishna. There's a really nice, it says, Saraditi Sarahridi Spuratume Dhyayaksara. The name of Sri Radha in which the two divine syllables are embodied and which personifies the ultimate truth, eternally shine in my heart. So, we're trying to understand what is the perfection of life. You know, understanding love of Krishna, freedom from sense enjoyment. We're understanding Vraja's worship, the process of understanding Krishna's love, and how to understand, be grateful and humble. So, pretty much to summarize, the sincere seeker should follow the path of humility, gratitude, and devotion to Krishna, as exemplified by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is all described. We're trying to show here. So there's a wonderful pastime of Srimati Radharani, how she created Sri Mayapur Dham to attract Krishna away from another lover, Viraja. And Lord Shiva explains this in the Ananta Samhita to Parvati. So Krishna was enjoying with Raja in a forest grove in Vrindavan. And when Radhika heard about this, she rushed to find Krishna, but she couldn't find them. So determined to attract Krishna, Radha gathered her Shakis, her female friends, and between the Ganga and the Jamuna rivers, and created a beautiful garden filled with natural, beautiful fragrances. So then Radha used the Ganga and Jamuna as a moat to protect the garden, and she played the flute. So Radha played the flute melodiously to attract Krishna, who appeared enchanted by the beauty of the place. And then Krishna promised to stay there forever and transform it into Navadvip, a new Vrindavan. So Navadvip would become a sacred place where devotees could attain devotional service and the mood of the Sakis. Just visiting Navadvip would grant the results of visiting all sacred places and lead to devotional service to Radha and Krishna. So Lord Shiva concluded that hearing this narration removes sins, it grants devotional service, and reciting or hearing this story, we gain devotion to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is what Srila Prabhupada's vision of Navadvip. You know, he had big ideas for spreading Krishna consciousness. Yes, it's a photo. Yeah. So one of Srila Prabhupada's gifts to his many followers and the entire world was his detailed vision for the temple Vedic planetarium. So now they're constructing this large Vedic planetarium. And so this is what Srila Jayapataka Maharaj is. He was set to take charge of this and help it come to fruition. So here there will be a blueprint for creation. It will be presented as a chandelier in the main dome. And also digitally, it'll be shown. So this Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a blueprint for all human life to attain the mission of human life. There's another pastime. This will be the pastime, last pastime. And I'll just kind of summarize it because it's kind of involved. But there's a pastime. You know, we're reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam when the 4 Kumaras, they cursed Jai and Vijay. In Vaikuntha, there was cursing going on. But what about in the spiritual world? Do you think there's cursing going on? But actually, there's a pastime when Sridham actually cursed Radharani. And Radharani cursed him, and she cursed Krishna, and so many things happened. So it's all their pastime. So, so this sighting is taking place in a mystical forest called Mahavan. And it's associated with Krishna and Srimati Radharani. So Radharani is in ecstasy, right? So she's deeply absorbed, observing Krishna. And she's so much in ecstasy, so she becomes like, she's just like dumbfounded, right? She just like goes into a trance. So that when she's in a trance, so Krishna leaves and he goes to another gopi named Viraja. So she's also a beloved devotee of Krishna. She's always youthful, she's full of jewels, and she was ecstatically serving Krishna. But then when Radharani came back to external consciousness, she realized Krishna's gone. So she became angry, and this upset her. So she became furious, and so she got her countless gopis as her assistants, and she decided to go to where Viraja's location was and see how she's serving Krishna. And so they all mounted this magnificent chariot. I'll just mention some of the details of that chariot. It's amazing. Just to show you the opulence of the spiritual world. So Radharani had 630 million gopis as her personal assistants. And they all wanted to go with her to Viraja's kunja. So they climbed upon a chariot that was 100 yojanas in height and 10 yojanas in diameter. It was made of perfect precious gems, and it shone like millions of suns. And it was decorated with 30 million kalasas, and on top of the chariot there were many beautiful flags with the marks of horses. The chariot had 100,000 wheels, and it flew at the speed of the mind. It was gorgeously decorated with 400,000 bells, which hung from all sides, and it had 10 million golden pillars. Its wheels were painted with all kinds of designs. Inside the chariot were 100,000 rooms, each decorated nicely with varieties of gems. There were 10 million beds prepared with parijata flowers and decorated with many bells and flags. So just see the opulence of the spiritual world. All the rooms were equipped with different types of paraphernalia of the best quality luxury furnishings, dresses, ornaments, and so on. And not only that, inside the chariot, there were hundreds of thousands of gardens and lakes, and increased the beauty of the chariot. There were many platforms made of gold and millions of stairs made of a variety of high-grade gems, shamataka, kostuba, and ruchaka. Flower garlands hung from all sides and filled the air with attractive fragrances. The whole chariot was covered by a thin silk cloth and decorated by 10 million mirrors. There were 10 million chamaras hanging from the chariot, each with a handle made of vajramani and anointed with nice-smelling chandan, agaru, kasturi, and kumkum. It was so beautiful and perfect, like nothing anyone had ever seen before. So this is what they were riding on, and this is where they went to this place where Viraja was. So just to kind of summarize the story again, so that was just the chariot. So they arrived at the place. So Sridham there is at the guard, he's guarding the gate where Krishna is. So Radharani just says, you know, get out of my way, move, and all the gopis removed him. So they went inside, and so Krishna understood that, oh, here comes Radharani, and Viraja also knows. So Krishna immediately disappeared, and Viraja converted herself into a river known as the Viraja River. So then Radharani enters that abode there, but she doesn't see Krishna, and she realizes that Viraja became a river. So she decided to leave. So then Radharani left. So then Krishna came back, and he realized that Viraja turned into a river. So he was lamenting by the bank, and then he asked her to return, and he blessed her, and that she would become the predominating deity of all the rivers. So then Viraja returns, and Krishna blesses her, makes her more beautiful, and then he gives her 7 sons that came later. So then this is what happened here. So then one of the sons happened to become to the mother when Krishna was enjoying with Krishna. So the youngest son of Viraja, he was being tortured by his elder brothers. So he came, crying to his mother. So then when she came, Krishna said, oh, okay. So he left because he wanted her to take care of her. So he left and he went back to Radharani. So then she became so angry that she cursed her son for disturbing her enjoyment with Krishna. And she also cursed her older sons for, disturbing the younger son. That you all become rivers in the material world. So these are the 9 different rivers, the 7 rivers in the earth planet. So they become like that. So they are cursed to come down. So eventually Krishna unites with her again, and he assures her that he'll visit her daily, and that she'll be respected by all. So then here's where Radharani's anger and curses. So when Radharani confronts Krishna, she calls him all kinds of names, fickle, and she curses him to take birth as a human being. So then Sridham hears about this, and he becomes angry, and then he curses Radharani, to take birth as a human on earth, and where she'll reunite with Krishna only after 100 years. So then Radharani and the Shakis, they become very emotional, they outburst, and then all the female Shakis surround Radharani, and she angrily rebukes Krishna. So then Krishna, through this whole time, is just remaining calm and peaceful. He's smiling gently, and then throughout Radharani's outbursts, and then he complies with the Shakis' advice to wait. The Shakis were telling Krishna, oh, you should wait, you should get out of here, maybe you should go somewhere else or whatever. They were just pushing him away. So then Sridham pleads with Radharani to recognize Krishna's divinity, and he criticizes her for her behavior, and Radharani in turn curses Sridham to become a demon on earth. So this is where Sridham was cursed to become a demon. And then he went to Krishna and told him what happened, and he was crying to Krishna. And Krishna says, okay, you'll be back soon, don't worry, but you'll become a very powerful demon. So then, it's a beautiful pastime where Krishna and Radharani, they were cursing each other, and Sridham, of course, this is all just for pastime. And we see shows love in the spiritual world that sometimes, is hard to understand. That this love in the spiritual world, that they love Krishna so much that it's shown through all these different activities and different pastimes. Because everything comes from the spiritual world, and all these emotions are there. So we see that perfectly in the spiritual world. So just to summarize, I just made a little video to summarize this, and I'll play it now. I have this one on here. So the sound has to be up on the TV so people could hear it, hopefully. Maybe I'll start again.
She illuminates the divine path with her radiant.
Let me start again. Okay, so let's go.
In the vast cosmos of spirituality, one figure shines brighter than the rest, Srimati Radharani, the supreme goddess. As As the chief associate and most devoted follower of Lord Krishna, she illuminates the divine path with her radiant presence. Srimati Radharani is not just a deity, but the very embodiment of the feminine aspect of God. She is the source from which all other divine energies emanate, the fountainhead of all goddesses of fortune. But her role doesn't stop at being the generator of divine energies. She is also the ultimate recipient of them. As the embodiment of the Lord's pleasure potency, it is through her that the divine experiences joy. She is the ultimate source of enjoyment for the Lord and, in turn, for all living beings. This dual role of being both the source and the recipient of divine energies makes her unique in the spiritual realm. Srimati Radharani, an embodiment of divine love and the ultimate source of enjoyment, stands at the heart of all spiritual understanding. The divine qualities of Srimati Radharani are as infinite as they are enchanting. Her unmatched beauty, radiant like 1,000 suns, is the embodiment of divine grace and elegance. Her beauty is beyond this material world. It's the beauty of her unwavering devotion to the Supreme Lord Krishna that truly sets her apart. She loves him deeply, unconditionally, and her love is the purest form of devotion, a love that transcends the physical realm. It's a love that inspires and uplifts, a beacon of spiritual enlightenment. But Srimati Radharani's divine qualities extend beyond her love for Lord Krishna. She is the source of happiness for all living beings. Her gentle, nurturing nature brings comfort and solace, her presence a balm for weary souls. She is the central figure for all goddesses of fortune, a testament to her divine qualities, her grace, her devotion, her ability to bring joy. All these qualities make her the epitome of divine femininity. Through her divine qualities, Srimati Radharani paints a picture of perfect devotion and spiritual bliss. The pastimes of Srimati Radharani with Lord Krishna and his devotees are tales that stir the heart and awaken the soul. Srimati Radharani's pastimes are imbued with divine love and deep devotion. One such pastime is the Radhastami, a celestial dance that symbolizes the divine union between the Lord and his devotee. In this dance, Srimati Radharani is always found at Krishna's side, her love and devotion for the Lord shining brighter than 1,000 suns. Another remarkable pastime is the pastime of flower decoration. Srimati Radharani, along with her friends, would decorate the forest groves with beautiful flowers, creating a divine atmosphere for the Lord's pleasure. Her love for Krishna is expressed through every petal and leaf she arranges. In the pastime of cooking for Krishna, Srimati Radharani's culinary skills are unparalleled. Each dish she prepares is a testament of her love for Krishna, every morsel filled with devotion and affection. These pastimes not only exemplify her deep love for Krishna, but also serve as a beacon for all spiritual seekers, guiding them on the path of devotion. In the divine pastimes of Srimati Radharani, we find a treasure trove of spiritual wisdom and divine love. As we delve deeper into the divine character of Srimati Radharani, we are moved to offer our prayers to her. We bow before her, the supreme goddess, the feminine aspect of the divine, and the ultimate source of all happiness. Radiant Radharani, you are the embodiment of the Lord's pleasure potency, the reservoir of all divine qualities. Your beauty surpasses all, and your love for Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, is unparalleled. We humbly seek your blessings, O Radharani. May your divine love illuminate our hearts, guide our thoughts, and lead our actions. As the chief devotee of Lord Krishna, you teach us the essence of true devotion. Help us to cultivate such pure love and unwavering devotion in our hearts. We admire your selfless love, your boundless compassion, and your infinite grace. Your divine pastimes with Krishna and his devotees inspire us and fill our hearts with joy. May Srimati Radharani, the supreme goddess, guide us on our spiritual journey and shower us with her divine love. Jaya Radhe!
There's another, we like to end with a beautiful prayer that Prabhupada also, on Radhastami, he sang this prayer. But here's a nice video I found on ISKCON Desire Tree. If you could play it now. Did you find it? Okay, I don't know. Let's see if it'll play. Yeah, it looks like it'll play. Jai. Do you like to hear the translation of that song? I'll say it real quick. O Radha, all glories unto you. You are the beloved of Lord Madhava, Krishna. You are the most exalted among the young girls of Gokul. Your dress increases the loving attraction of Damodar, Krishna. You are the queen of the forest of Vrindavan, which is abundantly filled with Hari's loving pastimes. Your complexion is as splendid as a newly grown rain cloud, and you are eternally devoted to Lalita and Vishaka, your dear friends. O Radha, who are full of compassion, please bestow your mercy upon me. Your divine qualities are described by the great sages, Sanaka and Sanatan. O Radha, all glories to you, the beloved of Lord Madhava. So a very heartfelt expression of devotion to Radharani, praising her beauty, her devotion to Krishna, and her unique position in the spiritual realm. So this is sung by devotees all over the world, and we're grateful for Srila Prabhupada for bringing this knowledge to us, these beautiful songs, everything. So I hope this presentation helps you think of Radharani, engage our minds in her throughout the day and our hearts in developing more devotion for her. So thank you very much for your kind attention. All glories to Shri Radhe. Shri Radhe ki jai. Radhe Radhe.